Hello and welcome to another edition of An English Guy Watching Wrestling. I'm the English Guy, I'm Nick. Thank you so much for clicking on another video, I really do appreciate it. And this one we're going to be covering the 6th of May edition, 2021 of Impact Wrestling. So with that being said, jump right into it. Opening the match up was an Under Siege qualifier between Chris Sabin and Rhino. Now of course the Under Siege match is going to be taking place at Under Siege, the next pay-per-view, when the winner of the match will face Kenny Omega for the Impact World Heavyweight Championship. And this was a very good way to open the show. I've never seen these two in a singles match before. I think they face each other in tag matches, but I've never seen them in a singles match. And the psychology, the movement between both men was first rate. When Rhino is as big as the guy as he is going to be facing a much smaller Chris Sabin. Chris Sabin's got to use his wrestling prowess and smarts, and of course experience. He did it superbly in this match. This was a very well told matchup with a bigger guy, dominated for a lot of the match, but Chris Sabin using his smarts and Rhino's size against him to get the pinfall. And it was the right call, I think. Even though I do like Rhino as part of Violent by Design, he just works. Chris Sabin winning the match was the right call because he's got such potential. Of course, former Impact World Heavyweight Champion. Then again, so is Rhino. But I enjoyed this one for what it was, and a very good way to open the show. And definitely, Chris Sabin has been bright in Impact Wrestling for so many years, as you know. Shines superbly here, and again proving just how good he is. And the way they worked this match, as I said, was first rate. Psychology, movement, the way Chris Sabin winning the match with a pinfall that Rhino could get out of was very smart. And definitely the kind of match you love to see Impact Wrestling. And as I said, Impact Wrestling this year has been fantastic to watch, and this was a great example of that. So, a very good match between two superb wrestlers who worked the match very, very well. So, definite thumbs up to both men for producing a very good opener. And this match was Taylor Wilde versus Susan. Now, of course, since Taylor Wilde has returned to Impact Wrestling, she's gunning for the Impact Women's World Championship. And of course, that being said, Deonna Purrazzo has pretty much faced everybody by now and has beaten everybody. She's been a dominant champion, but she's never faced Taylor Wilde before. So, of course, Deonna Purrazzo being friends with Susan and Kimberly, they're going to get first thrown to Taylor Wilde, shall we say, to wrestle. And Susan did here too. And of course, Susan, her character work is phenomenal. Everyone knows who she is by now. Of course, it is Su Yung, but of course, in Susan mode. And it's been great to watch, to be fair. And she did very well here. But then so did Taylor Wilde. She's not missed a step since returning to Impact Wrestling. And she produced the goods and a very good win. Even though it wasn't the longest match, it was a good win for Taylor Wilde. And one, I think, was deserved. Because obviously, she's gunning for that title, as pretty much everybody in the Knockouts division is. So there you go. And Tennille Dashwood trying to form a alliance with Taylor Wilde has been quite funny to watch, and of course that kind of continued after this match finished. So it was interesting viewing, but thumbs up to both ladies for this one. And this match was another Under Siege qualifier, Rohit Raju versus Trey Miguel, and this probably was the second best match of the night for me, just under the main event. When you've got two excellent talents like Trey Miguel and Rohit Raju having a qualifying match like this, you are going to get a great match, and you did. This was stunning stuff. Trey Miguel's return to Impact so far has been nothing short of fantastic. Trey Miguel's always been great. I've always liked him, but as late, he's really starting to step up to the plate even more than usual. And you've got Rohit Raju, one of the best X Division champions in recent memory. No longer the champion, of course, but can still make any match look great in his own unique way. His heelish approach to things. It's interesting, it's good, and it works. And Trey Miguel was fantastic in this match too. And this was a really good example. Even though this would have been an usual X Division style match, shall we say, not the case here. Both men worked a very different kind of style match, but it worked superbly. And I really loved the exchanges of wrestling between these two. And obviously, some high-flying role. Trey Miguel is nicknamed the Fresh Prince of Fresh Air. So that's definitely going to make it. So, or Midair, I forget. What's it? Fresh Air. I think it's Fresh Prince of Midair, I think is. My apologies. But he proved it in this match, some more than once. And Trey Miguel winning was the right call, I think. And he's on another guy on the rise. And the Under Siege match is lined up very, very well, which we'll get to a little bit later. But good, very, very, very good effort. Both men have said it was easily probably the second best match tonight. So thumbs up to that. Next match, we had Doc Gallows versus Juice Robinson. Now, of course, continuing on the feud between Finn Juice and the Good Brothers, of course, Finn Juice retained their tag team titles at Rebellion. Good Brothers are looking to get those belts back, and good to see a singles match actually between these two. And next week we are going to have David Finlay versus Carl Anderson. That's going to be good. But this was a very good match too, and I think Gallows winning was the right call because obviously they're gunning for those titles, no pun intended. And the work rate from both men here was good. FinJuice working against a much larger Gallows who uses size to his advantage in a simplistic but well-told match. And FinJuice did get some offense in because FinJuice is not a small guy. I've met him. He's not a small guy in real life. He's quite a big guy, but compared to Gallows, he's a small guy. So he is definitely been shining brightly since him and Dave Finlay have appeared in Impact. Even though he was dominated for most of the match, he did show some bright lights of offense here and did very well. Even though, like I said, Gallows winning was the right call. Not to say that Finn Juice, David Finlay, Juice Robinson didn't do a very good job here. So this was a good match. I enjoyed this one. So thumbs up to both men. And this match was VSK versus the debuting El Phantasmo. Now, those who know me know I love El Phantasmo a great deal. I've been watching his career for many years, and obviously he wrestled first in Canada, then came over to the UK for a little while, spent some time here, and that's where everybody fell in love with him. And it was just in his midst of his UK run that he became a member of the Bullet Club, which was no small thing. And him obviously going to Japan and finding great success there as part of the Bullet Club, he just shines brightly. Very brightly, and he has done since I've been watching him. And I think the move to Japan has reinvigorated his career even more. Even though it did when he moved to the UK, since he's gone to Japan, he's been fantastic to watch. And he's at the top there with the Bullet Club. Won multiple championships, won multiple tournaments. He's been fantastic, and to have him in Impact Wrestling is something I was really looking forward to because obviously the always now continued wonderful working relationship between New Japan and Impact Wrestling. Good to see more of it. So, and great to see him debut in Impact Wrestling against a very game VSK. Now, VSK I've seen a few times in AEW, and I never got a chance to see what he can really do on a longer match like this. VSK did very well in this match, which combined with El Phantasmo's pretty much flawless wrestling, the guy doesn't put anything wrong at all, really, because he's that good. But this was, to get to it now, a very, very, very good match and a very superb debut for El Phantasmo. And I enjoyed it. This was a very good match between, I would say, to an extent, two X Division wrestlers, you could say. Obviously, not part of the X Division because it was just a debut match for El Phantasmo. VSK obviously also making his debut. But I really enjoyed this. It was a very, very good, more or less back and forth match. Even though El Phantasmo did get a bit more offense in towards the end, VSK did some very good stuff. And this is probably the best time I've ever seen VSK as well. But a great debut for El Phantasmo, winning with that super kick, the loaded boots, as they've said in New Japan. Obviously, people think there's something in it. It's just a very unique gimmick that seems to work. But this was a very, very good debut for El Phantasmo, and he impressed a lot of people because it's his first time ever in Impact. Impressed the commentary team, so did VSK. This match just impressed at full stop. So I really enjoyed it. So definite thumbs up to both men for producing a very entertaining match. So definitely well done. The next match, we had Kiera Hogan versus Rachel Ellering. Of course, Rachel Ellering and Jordynne Grace are the new Impact Knockout Tag Team Champions. Fire and Flavor, the former champions. And of course, they want those belts back. So having Rachel Ellering versus Kiera Hogan was the right call. Even though this wasn't the longest match, it was a good match. And Rachel Ellering proving that she belongs to Impact Wrestling. Second generation star, as you may know, and has been great to watch since she's been part of Impact. Only just arrived, but she's not put much wrong. And to have her there with tagging with Jordynne Grace was the right call because there are not many wrestlers that are the same size in terms of strength as Jordynne Grace. While Rachel Ellering is not quite as strong, she's near it. She matches the strength department and power department of Jordynne Grace, and then work as a tag team. And it's the best thing to do against the small in size stature of Fire and Flavor, but still a great tag team. And this, as I said, whilst it wasn't the longest match, was a good match. And I think Rachel Ellering getting the win was the right call. So fun match to continue the feud between Fire and Flavor and Ellering and Grace. I think it's going to get better and better from here, and I think there will be a rematch at some point. I definitely will be seeing that. So thumbs up to both ladies for that. Which brought us to the main event, an Under Siege qualifying match between Moose and James Storm. And this was my match of the night, and I'll say why. Because of the way these two men worked. You've got two very strong, large individuals like James Storm and Moose. I mean, Moose in this year has transformed himself. He's changed things around him, the way he does stuff, and he's better than ever. And Moose was great before, but since 2020 started, he's kind of gone a self-transformation of the way he wrestles, the way he does things. It's shown. He's really been great. And James Storm, Impact legend, no other way to say it. Over 1,000 matches in that company alone is insane. And he's been part of Impact's not pretty much since the start, when it was in TNA. So when it was called TNA, my apologies. But this was a very, very good match between two very game wrestlers and by now veterans, of course. And Moose working over the leg for the majority of the match was the right call, because obviously James Storm has that last call super kick to finish off his opponents. Him working on that leg was the right call, and it was a very good psychological move by Moose to wrestle something in somewhat a little bit of a different way than Moose's usual matches, because Moose is more of a high impact kind of guy some of the time. This match he did the opposite. He really went just old school, working on the body part wrestling, which there's nothing wrong with at all. And it was very, very good. And I enjoyed this match for what it was. It was really good psychology, actual wrestling from both men. And of course, James Storm, trying his best to recover from the weak leg, and he did some very unique stuff himself, some very well thought out wrestling, and it was a very good, well told match. Simplistic, but sometimes simplistic told this well works, and it worked superbly. This was a very good way to finish the show. And as I said, Moose winning was the right call, I think, because him trying to get back in the world title picture was something I think people want to see, because he was a great TNA champion. Yes, it was TNA. Yes, it was TNA title. I was right. But that topped off what was actually a very good episode of Impact this week, and very good stuff. So thumbs up to everybody involved. Of course, also thumbs up to James Storm and Moose for that very, very good main event. So, on that positive note, that is it for this review. Thank you so much for watching. I will see everybody next time. Until that time, take care.